Hello, everyone. Welcome to Let's Talk About Brand. I'm your host, Christine Gritman. I do this show every Friday at 12 noon Eastern, right here on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Amazon Live. In fact, tell us in the comments where you are watching us and if you're watching us live or on the replay. Now, you may notice I don't have my red curtain behind me as usual. That's because I'm actually away right now. But the show must go on. So I'm very excited to be here today with my guest, Neepa Sikdar. More about her in just a moment. First, I want to make sure that you know that we are going live with RESTREAM. RESTREAM Studio is where I'm building this show now. I've used them for years as a streaming destination, and that's why we can go live in all these places simultaneously. So check out RESTREAM. I'm going to have a link in this post. Another thing that I want to do is I want to give a shout out to my fabulous Patreon members. These Patreon members support not only this show, Let's Talk About Brand every Friday, but also my Twitter chat on Tuesdays, Chat About Brand, which is always on the same topic as my Friday guest interview is on. So this past Tuesday, we had a great conversation about branding with style. So my Patreon members are Emma Pirchu, Maiko Sakai, Bonnie Wilson, Amanda Hahn Peters, and oh goodness. Whoever she is, I love her to pieces. Where is it? I'm so sorry, person I forgot Susie. I forgot Suzanne Brown. I'm so sorry about that, Suzanne. But these wonderful people, they are not just kindly helping me out. I'm helping them out by letting them know every week how the lessons from the guest interview show can be applied directly to their own personal brand. So go check that out. All right, now on to today's show. Today, we are talking about branding with style. And when I say style, I don't just mean red earrings, red lipstick. It goes so much deeper than those external things that we wear. Though at the same time, the external things we wear can change the way that we show up in the world. And our guest today, Neepa Sikdar, she works specifically with entrepreneurs and executives because she knows that feeling good about the way you're presenting yourself to the world can have a serious impact on your business. So we're going to talk not only about that element of style, but how it can infuse everything you do as part of your brand. Right? Without any further ado, let's bring her on. Hello, Neepa.
Hello, nice to see all of you.
Hey, nice to see
Nice
you
to
too.
be
Thank you
with
so much
you.
for being here.
Of course, I'm so excited to be here.
So tell us a little bit about how you decided to become not only a personal stylist in general, but also specifically how you decided to work with people in business.
So, personal styling is sort of my second act, but I've always worked in fashion. So, I've been in fashion for 17 years. So, prior to my business, I worked as a clothing and accessories buyer for brands such as Donna Karan, DKNY Jeans, J. Crew, and Liz Claiborne. So I worked in various areas of merchandising, which means I was the person that decided that the shirt that you're wearing, like what the price was, what colors to carry it in, when to promote it. And I worked very closely with design and production teams to get that garment into the stores or into online. So I really loved my job, but I didn't have that flexibility, just like many of us who leave corporate. It's to have more flexibility and more time with our families. So I got the idea to launch my business, Accessible Style, at school drop-off. So I love this story because it's about women. And so that's who I cater to. So at school drop-off, I noticed that moms were coming, dropping their kids off, and they didn't look put together. Their kids looked amazing. They looked like they could have been out of a Gap ad, but the moms looked tired and exhausted, and I began to wonder why. So that's sort of why I launched my business, because I wanted to help women, raise their confidence, raise their visibility and their revenue streams.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how something like personal style impacts our revenue and how you've seen that play out in your work.
Yeah, so it has a huge impact on your revenue. So, personal style is part of your self identity. So, it's basically your personality on the outside. And so, why it's so important is because 80 to 90% of communication is nonverbal. So, what you wear is a big part of that. Your energy, your facial expressions, they're all part of your nonverbal communication. So when you meet someone or when they come across your website or your marketing or your social media, they are going to form an impression of you. This impression of you is so um, something that you can't control. Your brain is collecting clues and they're making patterns and they're basing assumptions of you based on whether or not they find you visually and pleasing to the eye, right? So they are literally forming these impressions. This is not something that you can control. So when you are showing up as your best self online and in person, people are responding positively to you. And I've seen this happen so much with my clients. I work with a lot of clients on their personal style as well as what is known as their brand style, which is what they're going to wear on their photo and video shoots. And I've seen them go climb up the corporate ladder from from director level all the way to COO. Or if someone I have seen my business owners go to multiple 6 and 7 figure incomes because they have focused on what they wear. So there is a huge reason to invest in your style.
That is just incredible. And it's something that is so untapped
Yes.
for so many people. So many people say, well, I want to be judged on my ideas.
Yes.
I want to be judged on my work. I don't want to be judged on what I look like. And while that is true, to your point, there's so much nonverbal communication that happens, whether it's fair or not.
Yes.
We do get certain impressions of people. So where are some places that you frequently see people sort of going wrong? What are some frequent things that you tend to have to troubleshoot in your work with these professionals?
So one would be on, when I go on a website. So let's say I'm looking for what XYZ, a service provider or a product, and I don't see the business owner's picture anywhere. So that's number one flag, because especially after what happened last year with the pandemic and the level of uncertainty and distrust, your future potential client is looking for you. They want to see your face. They want to connect with you. So that's the first thing. When there's more stock images and not enough images of the people who work in the business. Another thing that I kind of have to troubleshoot is their coloring, meaning that the colors that they wear are not cohesive or not complementary to their skin tone or their hair or their eyes. So I cannot tell you how many people are, spending money on a beautiful website design. Their copy is amazing. They are on these social media platforms. They have a newsletter or email marketing, but then they haven't taken the steps to look at what they're wearing, right? That picture, right? Because they just assume as long as I wear a solid color, I should be okay. But if you're not wearing a color that's flattering to you, it can actually make you look older. It can make you look like, you are, it can age you, it can make you look bigger, wider. It can really have this impact. But more importantly, it makes people just, wonder how serious you are. Because one of the misconceptions people have is that, you addressed this a little bit earlier, is that, oh, I want people to like me for me. Of course, they're going to hire you for your personality, what you bring to the table, all your experience. But how can they get to know you if they don't, if they don't connect with you? And so that's one of the ways that they connect with you is through your image.
That is so true. And I mean, it goes back to even when we're kids. We sort of gravitate towards the kids who dress like we do. It's always been sort of a way of labeling yourself in a way that we all do, whether consciously or subconsciously. And if we aren't conscious of it, and if we aren't consciously labeling ourselves in a way that is flattering to us, we're actively labeling ourselves as someone who doesn't care, who isn't taking care of those details. Now, to your point, a lot of people do take care of other details. Their emails have a beautiful header on them. Their websites look fantastic. And, they need to have a picture of themselves up there, but also their style, how they show up in real life, needs to represent and be cohesive with the style that they're presenting in all of these other ways. So not everyone is going to be a crazy person like me where literally they have a red website and they're wearing red lipstick. So
Yeah.
what are some ways that people can infuse their brand style into a variety of things, not only in terms of making sure that they show up as the same person, same type of person as they're communicating in their other spaces, but even vice versa. If someone is a pretty put together person, how can they infuse everything they do with sort of that element of style? Does that make sense? Is that a
Kind
loaded
of. I think
question?
what I know what you're getting at. So basically, you want to look at when you're defining your brand mission and your values and what your brand stands for, right? So there are some personality characteristics, right? So you want to align that with your style personality or your aesthetic. Your aesthetic is just refers to, your outward appearance and that vibe. So those are there are certain personality types like bohemian or classic that relate to who you are. So what it is that, we are our brand. So our target client may not be exactly us, right? We have a specific target client, but we are our brand. So you really have to think about, like there's brand archetypes and there's style personalities, and you want them to kind of get together, right? So your style personality is your personality, what you enjoy wearing. So how do you figure that out? Well, it's really simple. Think about anytime you've tried on something and it made you feel good. Was that a color? Look at it that way. Was it a color that made you feel good about yourself? Was it the style? Same thing as when you're looking at images, whether you're looking at online shopping or you're looking on a Pinterest board and you're gathering these images of things you like. The first place I tell people to do is to create that inspiration board. Look at what you're attracted to. So you're going to have your brand colors in one board, and then you're going to have what you're attracted to in another board. And they don't have to match. So that's another misconception that people have that, okay, so for example, my brand colors are, this hot pink, I can't remember the names off the top of my head, but purple and aqua blue and hot pink and gold, and there's white. But I don't wear those colors all the time. I just wear things that are complementary to those colors, because it only matters how your brand colors and your clothing colors connect only on your website or your social media graphics, right? When you're seeing someone in person, you don't necessarily have to wear those colors. However, when you start paying attention to things that you like, or you can create like a signature. So for some people, like for you, Christine, right? You love red. So you tend to wear red a lot. And it happens to be complementary to your coloring and your skin tone and your hair. So it works out. However, other people, it might be that they love to wear, for me, it's prints. Prints are part of my brand, my style aesthetic. I love wearing prints. And so you will see me a lot in prints. And so I go against the notion that, when you're on video, you have to just wear solids or jewel tones, right? And jewel tones, yes, they do work. But if you are very fair, a jewel tone can really be harsh. And so it can draw the color out of your face. So maybe the jewel tone is not right for you, but a softer pink works for you. So it's sort of like experimenting and figuring out and really trying it on and practicing on video. That's really the best way, and to pay attention. So create that inspiration board, pay attention to what you like. You're going to know your style personality based on just what you instinctually like. It's not something you have to stress over.
I feel like you sort of have answered this, but if we could dive in a little
Yeah.
more, Alex from our chat would love to know how you suggest somebody start when they're considering branching out into new styles. And I also want to invite anyone who's watching live, if you have any questions, definitely bring them in. By the way, I also want to put up Simon's comment here. He's got a suit that makes him feel invincible. That is
Okay.
Simon's super suit. Simon presents for a living and teaches
Okay.
people how to present well. So he certainly knows that feeling good, looking good makes you feel good, which makes you present better. So, yeah, so back to Alex's question, where can people start if they know that they want to branch out of a rut? If they're not branded, they're in a rut. There's a difference between branded and in a rut. So, if they are in a rut and they want to branch out, where should they start?
So a couple of things. I already mentioned creating an inspiration board. It's super simple. You can do it on Pinterest. You can do it just on a Google slide or a PowerPoint. Gather images, do screenshots of images that you see. You can go to clothing websites and just look at, what the model is wearing. You can also look at your favorite celebrities. A lot of times, there's so many photos around our celebrities and what they're wearing. So start paying attention to that. Gather these thoughts into one place so you have a reference point. Another important thing to do is to edit your closet. People really, really just forget to do that. And it is the most important thing you can do, because you often have things in your closet that have not seen the day of light because you have not edited or cleaned it out. So you can get rid of the things that, are old. You're going to be able to make really quick decisions on certain things because you'll never wear it again. So, and then the third thing that I always say to do is once you edit the closet, look at what you're actually wearing, right? Think about your lifestyle too. So where are you going? So oftentimes people think that they have to mimic an image that they see online because that's, it's just easy laid out for them. But does that outfit work for what you do every day? Are you in front of a camera every day, or are you seeing people one-on-one? What are your clients like? Are they casual, or do you have to, present in a room with people who are investing millions with you? So you have to look differently for where you're going. So I think I've kind of explained a couple of different ways that you can get yourself out of a style rut.
Absolutely. I also want to go back to something else that you said before, which is that there are brand archetypes and there are style archetypes. And I'd love it if you could just run through a few of those that you've seen and how they're expressed in both ways, both in the way that the person chooses to externally present themselves and in the way that they choose to have the rest of their branding go along to create an overall impression.
Yeah, so I mean, I would say, I would give an example of the bohemian, because the bohemian is someone who likes flowy fabrics, right? So their personality, actually, I'm going to reference our style personality guide because off the top of my head, I'm like at a loss here, but I will give you the example of the bohemian. So the fabrics are whimsical, they're floaty, comfortable. They like natural colors. Now, when they are in their brand, that's going to be something that they're going to show up in. So their website's going to have things like floral in it, things like what is that pattern that I'm now completely losing? They're going to have paisley. Yes, paisley, patchwork, floral. That can be elements that they would put into their branding. So that is someone who likes bohemian style, someone who likes brands like Anthropologie or Free People, but in their branding, they may have those patterns in their logo or in their colors.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's an overall feel. So I want to talk about some of the so bohemian. Of course, that conveys a certain type of look. But let's also talk about why people in different professions, maybe, or who are working with different client types, might want to present themselves in certain different ways. Because a lot of times, the hard as nails divorce attorney that you want on your side maybe isn't exactly what you want in, a grief therapist or something. Weird examples. I don't know. Just what came to my head. But can we talk sort of about how different people who are trying to create different feelings might go for different vibes?
Yes, so that is very true. So you have to also, that's why color is really important. And that's something that I work with my clients on, because certain colors convey certain messages. So if you are somebody who's handling money, so if you're a financial planner, you're an accountant, that's someone that people take seriously. So you tend to wear, navy blues are authoritative colors. So, those are the type of colors somebody would wear because you want to be able to trust them with large sums of money. So someone like that may wear, a suit blazer. You don't necessarily have to wear a suit head to toe. You can actually show, let's say, in our example of somebody who just chimed in saying that he wears a suit for all his presentations. Great. What he can do is, let's say he had a solid three-piece suit or two-piece suit with a blazer, and the pants are in a navy color. He can show his personality through his shirt, his button down. So there's so many ranges of button down colors. So he can definitely, change that up. Those that like classic style or cosmopolitan, that's someone who likes more worldly style. So a cosmopolitan person would probably wear things that are more structured and more fitted. And they will tend to wear things that are, really something that like a jet setter would wear, right? You would give that vibe of someone who has an international brand. So a lot of times if your brand is international, the cosmopolitan style aesthetic would work for you. Whereas if you're a classic or someone who, who's working professionally with someone, you want to wear what makes you comfortable. I want to be really careful though. It's not that you have to wear a suit or you have to wear a shirt and tie to come across as professional, because our world has become a lot more casual. But it's about how do you do a suit blazer with a solid t-shirt and a pair of jeans, right? In some professions that are more casual, that's what you would wear to a business meeting. You're still looking put together, but you're not necessarily wearing a suit jacket and blazer and some heels. It doesn't have to be that way. So you really have to look at, and I've actually taught this at universities for people looking to interview. You have to think about where you're going and who you work with to kind of determine what you should wear. So for example, I'm the best example. So when I, it's easy to talk about yourself. So when I go and meet with, clients over Zoom, I am generally wearing, a solid top of some sort or a printed shirt, and I'm keeping it pretty casual. I have jewelry on, because they only see the top half of me. However, if I'm going to a meeting, whether it's in person or on video with an executive for these, large companies that I have brand partnerships with, these clothing retailers, I am going to step it up. So I am going to wear that fashion piece because that's who I am meeting. So you have to really pay attention to who you're talking to and who you will be seeing that day to determine what to wear.
So to that end, and I think that this is probably our last question in case, unless somebody in the comments wants to chime in, happy to ask. But in the meantime, so we've mentioned how you have to see what resonates with you, what you're attracted to, what you like. But we've also mentioned the importance of understanding the context. So who you're meeting with, what their expectations might be in that type of environment.
Yes.
When there's a push-pull there, um, sort of how do we navigate that? Because I know, for example, I know lots of people who are entrepreneurs like myself, who are speakers like
Right.
myself, who actively will wear, jeans and a baseball hat or something like that on stage, partially because that's who they are, that's their vibe, and they are proud of having reached a point professionally where it is about their ideas. And so it's almost taking a stand to not wear a suit or something like that that's more expected. But on the other hand, there are certain situations where, I mean, you wouldn't walk into a boardroom and ask backers for, millions of dollars wearing ripped jeans. Generally, you would probably want to respect the formality of the circumstance. So how do you navigate that push pull of this is me, this is my personal brand, this is my whole vibe, versus also sort of fitting in with the environment and the context of what is culturally expected?
So you really look at what makes you feel comfortable, right? So you are, you know, if you are not a suit person and you show up in a suit, you're going to look uncomfortable. You're not going to sound okay. You're going to exude that, right? So there is no need for you to wear that suit. Now, if you are maybe you want to wear a dress, you have to really think about it more about, if you're on stage, you gave that a great example on the stage, right? If you're on stage, if you want to wear a t-shirt and jeans, well, maybe the t-shirt says something on there. Maybe you have a cool pair of sneakers on, all of those things, people are listening. So if you're wearing a t-shirt and jeans, why can't your sneakers be really cool? Because people are going to remember your sneakers. Like, you have to remember, clothing is a conversation starter. So if you are trying to convince someone of something, they're going to focus on something. So they're going to focus on what you're saying, your voice, what you're wearing. And oftentimes they will relate to you on that accessory or that extra detail or the fact that you wear this certain color. It has opened so many doors for me, and I can walk into any meeting and make friends based on someone coming up to me and saying, "Oh, I like this." So it's okay to think, okay, well, I've risen to this certain, place in life and I shouldn't have to conform. You don't have to conform. And I think none of my clients are conformists. I actually am proud that I get clients that I call rebels or mavericks, who are, the first female CEOs of their company, or they're the first person to really change the way the direction of the company is going to be. So people want to connect with you on your ideas, but it doesn't mean that you have to let go of who you are. You really have to remember, your style is your personal identity. Who am I to the world? What makes me happy? How can I perceive myself to other people and still be me?
I love the way you put that. And it sounds actually very similar to what I tell people about content. So, a lot of people feel like they should be on certain social media platforms, or they should be producing certain types of content just because, others in their industry are active there, or because those things are trending. And I say, you're going to come across best with
Yes.
what you are most interested in, what you are
Yes.
most comfortable doing. If you do a live stream and it looks like, you're being held at gunpoint, it is not going to serve your brand as well as writing a beautiful blog that you feel comfortable with your words and you've edited it to the place where you want it to be. Show up in the way that is going to make you feel equipped to show up the best as yourself.
Yes. And before you go speak, make sure you try on your outfit and do your speech in your outfit.
Ooh, that's
You
a
have to
really
do
good
that,
point.
because let's say you bought something new for whatever, it's like something big. Oftentimes that's what happens, right? If it's a big presentation, you buy something new. It's just standard, right? And if you're not comfortable in it, going through what you have to say, it's going to show up.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Neepa. This was
Thank you.
fantastic. Where can people find you?
Okay, so they can find me on Instagram and Facebook under Accessible Style, and my website is accessiblestyle.net.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being here today. I think this was a great conversation and really shows how the way you show up really does come across to what you're wearing in person and how that makes you feel. So, thank you very much.
Of course, thank you so much.
All right. So, as I said before, I do the show every single Friday at 12 noon Eastern. Next week, we will be talking about brand and internal culture. Similarly to what we're talking about today, a disconnect between the two can be really jarring. So, it's all about understanding what your brand values are and making sure that the brand that you're presenting externally to your customers and the brand that you are living internally with your employees does match up. So we're going to be talking about that on Twitter for Chat About Brand on Tuesday. And we are also going to be discussing it live right here on Friday with Galen Emanuel, who is a speaker and has helped tons of companies align their internal culture and their leadership so that everybody benefits. Again, I would love to thank my Patreon supporters. I will actually remember them all this time. Emma Perchu, Suzanne Brown, Mike Osakai, Bonnie Wilson, Oh my goodness. And now I forgot a different one. I forgot Amanda Hahn Peters. Well, thank you so much to all of you. And thank you so much to Restream for being a great live streaming platform. And I hope to see you all next week. Bye.